Creating a creative organization relies on being clear about what type of creativity you want and how you're going to make creativity occur. So when we think about creativity, it's not something that comes on demand. It's not something that you just say, be creative now. You actually have to foster it. You have to nurture it. You have to create a space in which creativity can exist. And one of the things when you start to look at creativity, so I spend a lot of time in film, in storytelling, and you look at companies like Pixar, you look at companies like IDEO, and how they choose to be creative. And what's amazing is that there are commonalities. So there are, the creative process, but there's also lots of different ways. So do you believe that creativity comes from the individual, or do you believe that creativity comes from the group? And how do you create a setup that fosters that creates that amplifies that? And essentially, the answer to all of those questions is culture. And so what you care about in your organization sets the parameters for how creative you're going to be. And when you think about creativity in the context of innovation, one of the questions we often ask in a survey, which is a really good barometer for how innovative you're going to be as a company, is, are we allowed to take risks? So are we allowed to do things even if they may not work? And one of the fundamental requirements for being able to be creative is the ability to take some sort of risk. Whether it's an emotional risk, it might be silly, whether it's something that may not work from a money point of view or from a product point of view, it's based on a tolerance of a certain amount of risk. And then all of the sorts of things that we think about when we think about culture, like collaboration. How much do we share knowledge? How do we interact with each other? How we talk to power. Can you talk truth to power? All of these sorts of things, which are sort of fundamental questions when you think about culture, affect the creative process. So when a company sits down and says, we believe that we are, or we want to be a fundamentally creative company, then they actually have to have a conversation about the culture that they're going to build that will give rise to that creativity. Creativity is increasingly important in building successful organizations. And fundamentally, creativity is about being culture first. It's about creating a very intentional way of being that leads to the creative result. So creativity and culture first go hand in hand.